Good morning. We're about to get started very shortly. Go ahead and share this. Good morning, PH. Good morning, the More Project. How's everyone doing? All right, before I get started, if you can hear me well, press 1. Let me know how the audio is. Press 1 if you can hear me. Thank you. Excellent. Perfect. Perfect. Jeffrey, how you doing? So if you would, go ahead and share this live to your social media. I would appreciate it. Alrighty. You should be able to share by under the video. There should be a share, the word share and an arrow. All right, let's see. All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Brian Ponder. Thank you for joining in. Those that are following on YouTube, try to share it. If you found me on Facebook, just go ahead and share it so other people can join in. I'm going to try to look at your questions periodically to see if you have any questions. Looks like everyone can hear me okay. And if you share it, you can just share it, but here's the hashtag I use a lot. 4 steps credit. So if you're on, if you want to follow me on Instagram, you could typically put that in. I'm on IG, Facebook. If you share anything, or if you bought the book 4 Steps to Better Credit and you have a testimony, if you would take a picture and in your comments put hashtag 4 Steps Credit, that way I can follow all of you all's progress and testimonies. So put that on Instagram, Facebook. So there's those that are just joining in, like it, and then also share it, share this video. Also, if this is your first time joining me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. That way you can get, information as it becomes available. So go ahead and subscribe. And if you want to be alerted, you can click that. There's a bell there. Go ahead and click the bell, and what that will do is anytime I put on a new video, if I come across, sometimes I do new letters, I come across better new issues, I'll post it. And if you click, that's basically for notifications. If you click this bell, you'll get notified when I put out a new video. I'm trying to do better about putting out videos more frequently so I can get more information to you faster. So to be kept up to date, just be sure to subscribe. And also want to thank you. We have over 1,000 subscribers. Thank you very much. I look forward, next goal would be to get 1,000, 10,000. And so let's keep sharing. But anyway, if you subscribe, you'll get my videos. And also if you click notifications, anytime I do a new video, you'll be notified. All right, fair enough. And let's see, can everyone see okay? Let's see. All right, the board isn't clear, so let's bring it closer. Let's bring it closer to the board. Let's do that. Thank you very much for letting me know. Let's see, how is that? Let's see, how is that? Let's see, is that better? Let's make sure this board is clear before we get down to business. How is that? How's that board? Should I turn it? And this is our first whiteboard training, so bear with me. This is the first whiteboard training, so please bear with me. How's that board? Can you see it okay? How's that? How is that? Let's see. All right, perfect. Now, is that good? I know that's better. Is that good? Can you see it? I'm trying to prevent all the glare. Is that okay? All right, good. So hopefully everyone can see this. Okay, it's great. Perfect. All right, well, shoot. Let me have a sip of water. Let's get down to business. Again, this is my first whiteboard training on this topic. And if y'all have any questions, you can type your questions. I will try to get to them. And this is not going to be a long talk. I'm going to be right to the point. And for those of you that just joined in, you can follow me on Instagram, Brian Ponder, Facebook, Brian the Credit Lawyer, 4 Steps to Better Credit. You can follow this hashtag 4 Steps Credit. Also, those of you that got the book, please do a review on Amazon. Very important, please. And do a review on your social media and then put 4 Steps Credit as the hashtag. Like the social media, share this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, click notifications, and let's grow our subscribers. Let's get this information out there. Oh, I see why I need to get a, I might need to get a paper. That way I don't have to do all this erasing. So next time we do this, I'm gonna get the paper, okay? So don't hold it against me. I'll get that today. I can see why the eraser, the whiteboard may be a big problem. 4 Steps for Better Credit. All right, so who am I? I'm Brian Ponder. I'm actually a trial attorney in New York, and a majority of my practice deals with consumer law. But before all of that, back when I was in my mid-20s, I was looking to get a house, and at the time I was renting, and I found a house that I liked, and I called the real estate agent. The real estate agent said, well, yeah, I said, hey, I saw this house. The house was by a river. It was very nice. I said, I would like to see it. She's like, sure, just send a pre-qualification letter, and I'll be happy to show it to you. Now, I didn't know what that meant, so I called the lender, a mortgage lender, and he told me, yeah, give me your information, fill out this application. I filled out the application. He came back to me and said, hey, man, your credit score is 494. I was like, great. He was like, no, that's not great. You can't you can't buy anything. You can't buy a loaf of bread. I mean, you can't finance a loaf of bread or anything. So that was when I first learned about the importance of a credit score. My credit score was so low, I couldn't even look at a house. So that mortgage lender took me through a lot of the stuff I'm going to take you through. Basically showed me how I can clean up my credit. I had items on my credit that I never knew about that I had to get remedied. And I'm going to show you how I did it. I've really made it much more simpler now. So what I ended up doing is this was actually 2004 that I found this house, and what I ended up doing in November of 2004, I just entered into a lease purchase agreement. And so a lot of you that are looking for homes, if your credit's not good, you might want to make a lease purchase offer. That means you could lease it with the option to purchase the home. And that's what I did. So in November of 2004, I went into a lease purchase, worked on my credit. I was able to close by February 2005. I was able to bring my score up a couple hundred points to be able to get complete financing. And so some of my down payment came from the lease purchase. Some of that monthly lease amount went towards the house. I was able to get that house. And so that was my first experience with credit. After I did that, I was the real estate agent made $30,000 on this home in commission. And I was like, wow. And so after that, I actually became a real estate agent in Georgia and started helping other people. At the time, I was in healthcare, so I would help doctors, nurses, and other staff get homes. Many of them, no matter who they are, all the way from surgeon to orderly, needed help on credit. So credit is not only for low income. You know, it doesn't matter if you make $1 million a year or if you make $15,000 a year. Credit is very, very important. Okay. Everyone needs a car. Everyone needs a home. Everyone needs an apartment. Everyone needs a job. So credit affects every part of your life. And so for those of you that are tuning in and want to learn how to improve your credit, have a goal in mind. And so when people call me saying, oh, I want to improve my credit, I like to figure out why. Do you want to buy a house? Are you looking to buy a car? Are you looking to get a credit card? Are you looking to build business credit? I like to get an idea what people want to do with their credit, because it's not really something you can do casually. You really have to focus your attention to it. It has to be a way of life. Everything you do, you have to be thinking about credit implications. You know, whether you should apply for a card, whether you should make the minimum payment or the full payment. You really need to have your mindset set up to really take control of your credit, because you know, you see a lot of people doing credit repair the wrong way, or credit repair and not learning about credit. So they're repairing the credit, and then within a month or two, they're back to where they started because they don't understand what to do. And a lot of people call and say, hey, can I just pay you to do it? You know, that's all good. But the reason I wrote this book so that you can educate yourself on how to maintain good credit. It's like going to the doctor. If you don't learn how to eat right and exercise, you can go to the doctor all you want for a quick fix or surgery. But if you can't maintain, you're just going to be right back. And that's very expensive, no matter what profession you're looking at, whether it's medical, financial, legal. You want to learn for yourself so you can do for yourself. So that's my background. I've been helping people. So I've been helping people with credit issues for over 15 years, starting with myself. I was my first client. After helping people with their credit for several years, I decided to go to law school. And after law school, I started a law firm. And through my law firm, I've been able to help people on the legal side of it, as well as, you know, just the credit repair side. With respect to that, I've sued all the major consumer reporting agencies, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. I've gotten great results for people, even money. The laws that are set in place for consumers are very consumer friendly in the fact that you can actually recover damages, even statutory damages. Statutory damages is an amount of money that you don't have to prove. A lot of times, like in a car accident, you have to prove how hurt you are. You have to go see a doctor. But with the consumer laws, consumers are not, so the consumer does not have to prove up every dollar that it wants to get. $1,000 is the statutory damage award that people can get when they're violated. And most of the violations you'll see are in the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. All right, let's get a list of word here. Welcome, everyone. All right, welcome. And sorry if my head's cut off. Let me see, maybe I can, let me come back a little bit. All right, how about that? All right, so let's get to it. So that's my background. So I've been helping people with credit for a long time. I've litigated against debt collectors, consumer reporting agencies, and have a lot of experience in that area. So the limitations of helping people with the credit is there's only so much you can do personally, one-on-one. And so I wrote the book, 4 Steps to Better Credit, because one, I wanted to educate people about credit so that they could, learn, how credit works, essentially. And credit basically is a system that's put in place so that people and companies that want to loan you money can evaluate, your credit worthiness, your ability to repay it, and your likelihood to repay it. Most people, I'm not going to say most, but a lot of people learn about credit when they're trying to do a transaction and they get denied, and it's because of a credit problem. So for a lot of people, that's their first experience with credit. Other people may have had family members add them to their credit, teach them about credit, and by the time they graduate from college, they have awesome credit. They can get a home, they can get a car, and that's the other side of credit. So no matter how you come across credit, or no matter how you came to want to learn more about credit, I want to welcome you. And this book is a great book for those that are just getting started and for those that are experienced. So whether you're just getting started on your credit, or if you're an experienced credit savvy person, meaning you have good credit and you're looking to improve it, or you're a credit repair specialist looking to fine tune your skills, this book is just great. And so that was my point. My point was to reach everyone, to really simplify the whole credit process. And the 4 Steps to Credit is all about keeping it real. And so I use that acronym, REAL, to go through the 4 steps. Let's get right to it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 4 steps is to keep it real. All right. And step 1 is review. Step 2 is erase. Step 3 is to add. And step 4 is to lower your up. The W. Yeah. All right. There we go. All right. Lower your up. So keep it real. REAL. All right. That's your 4 steps to better credit. Now, it's amazing, but just with these 4 steps, you can take care of any credit concern you have. Any credit concern you have. Let's go to step 1. And let me take some more water. I'm gonna have to pour some more. All right, so step 1, review. Review. So review means you want to just look at all your credit reports. All right, all your credit reports. Now, believe it or not, there are many consumer reporting agencies. So a lot of people call them, credit bureaus. They're not credit bureaus. They're really legally consumer reporting agencies, or CRAs. All right, so CRA, that's what they are, consumer reporting agencies. Now, most of you should be or already are familiar with the top 3. The top 3, Equifax, Experian, and 3, TransUnion. All right, those are the 3 major consumer reporting agencies. The top 3, the big 3, they're called all those things. So most of the time when people say, oh, you need to check your credit, they're talking about checking those top 3. All right. The best way to check these 3 to get your full consumer report, you can go to a website called, it's www.annualcreditreport.com. Annualcreditreport.com. That is where you can go and get your free once a year credit report. The reason you want to get that one from there, you can do it online, okay? If you can't get it online, there's a PDF there that you could use to order it by mail. So a lot of times you can't get it online because some of the security questions they ask you don't check out, and so they won't let you get it. Don't worry, there's a mail-in request there that you can click and get it by mail. The reason you want this one, you want your full disclosure. It's going to give you more detail than these other 2 sources that I'm going to give you. It's going to give you, all the months, all the details to each trade line, the furniture. So it's going to give you the full disclosure. In legal terms, what you're going to get in the mail is actually called a consumer disclosure. We call it a credit report, but the consumer disclosure is the form of the credit report that comes to you, the consumer. So this is not the same report that the mortgage company is going to see. And some of you may have applied for a mortgage or a car, and you may have seen a printout of what the car dealership or the mortgage person sees. It's a lot different from what you're going to see. That's because what they're showing you is called a consumer disclosure. I'll tell you, there's a letter going around that's not the appropriate letter. That's called a 609 letter. That is not the correct section of the FCRA that you want to use, but that section actually only talks about disclosures. And many people are confused to think that letter says that the CRAs have to send you something as far as contracts or wet ink signatures. That's not the case. So when you see the word disclosure in the Fair Credit Reporting Act, they're talking about basically a copy of your report, the report that you see, okay? So that's step 1. Now, there's a lot more to this. This is in chapter 1 of the book, by the way. I go through great detail, and I actually give you a list of, I think, over 100, maybe 47, I think, consumer reporting agencies that are very popular. But if you do get in a car or a house, these are your top 3. There are some other reporting agencies out there that you should be aware of. In addition to these top 3, that being LexisNexis, SageStream, and CoreLogic. These are very, very important. So these are some secondary, some of the minor ones. Now, LexisNexis, they're not one of the 3 majors, but actually this consumer reporting agency has probably more information than anyone. They're so big. They have everything that everyone else has, but what they assimilate as far as information, which the others don't, is a lot of the court records. So like a judgment, something like that, or bankruptcy. That comes from LexisNexis. That does not come from the court. So LexisNexis will scrub all of the court records that are online and put together information. That's LexisNexis. All right. So what else? Oh, also any other public records, LexisNexis will have that information. So, oh, tax liens. All of those things, that comes from LexisNexis. So, if you have a judgment on your credit report or a tax lien or a public record like a BK, bankruptcy, that's what BK stands for, that's coming from LexisNexis. Do not dispute that with the court. That's not coming from the court. That's going to come from LexisNexis. And I'm going to show you how you can erase. So step 2, we're going to show you how you can erase those. But first, before you can erase anything, you have to see what's on there. SageStream is another consumer reporting agency. CoreLogic is another reporting agency. So if you're applying for credit cards, sometimes your credit card company may check TransUnion and SageStream. Okay, so they're getting smart. They know you're out there trying to repair your credit, and they know you're not repairing it with SageStream. So if you apply for a credit card, what that credit card company will do, they'll check your TransUnion, and then they'll check your SageStream. Now, those of you that repaired your TransUnion didn't repair the SageStream, so they'll see what's on SageStream that didn't get deleted from your, like it did from your TransUnion, and then you can get denied or a high interest rate or whatever based on what's on that SageStream. So that's very important. CoreLogic, if you ever been evicted from an apartment and you have a judgment or just the eviction itself, CoreLogic will collect that information. Okay, so CoreLogic is one of the companies that a lot of the apartment buildings use to gather their information about whether they want to rent to you or not. So you could repair your credit and just focus on these 3 and then get denied for an apartment because of information that's on your CoreLogic report. So you wouldn't know what's on CoreLogic until you apply for something and you don't get it. And they may say, oh, because of information on your CoreLogic report, we denied you. So that's why you need to review what's on CoreLogic. And so a lot of people are like, oh, I have an eviction, my credit looks good, I don't see anything on my credit report. Well, that's because the apartment complex is checking CoreLogic. They're not checking Equifax. All right. And some of you who have money that's due on an apartment you may have bailed out on and you got it deleted, with credit repair. Well, guess what? You all didn't dispute it with CoreLogic. So you're still getting denied that apartment because it's still on CoreLogic. So you wouldn't know that if you didn't do step 1. So this step is very, very important. A lot of people want to skip this step. They want to go straight to just, disputing what they see on their Credit Karma and all that. But you're going to have to review more than just, what you see on your Credit Karma or Equifax report. You have to look at all of them. I mean, you definitely have to look at all 3, but I'm telling you, you're doing yourself a big problem if you don't also review these other 3. Okay? So you got it? Any questions with that? All right. So, all right. So it looks like we're learning already. So yeah. So I have a little bit more. Well, I'll leave that up. You should be able to see down here. So listen. Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. Those are big 3. LexisNexis, SageStream, CoreLogic. Those are the other 3. I'm not going to call them small. These are huge. These are billion. I mean, LexisNexis is surely a $1 billion company. SageStream and CoreLogic, I'm not so sure. So I'm not going to call them a small 3. I'm going to call them the other 3. So we have Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. Those are the big 3. LexisNexis, SageStream, CoreLogic. Those are the other 3. Okay. Yeah. So however you need to remember those, I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see if we can make an acronym. For the big three, you could say T. And then for the other three, maybe CLS. How about that? CLS. How's that? So that way you can remember TEE, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. And for the other three, let's use CLS. CoreLogic, LexisNexis, SageStream. You know, CLS, like the car. All right. So pop quiz, what's the big three? TEE, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. What's the other three? CLS. CoreLogic, LexisNexis, SageStream, okay? You want to check those. Now, here's another one. Here's another one. Not part of the big three, not part of the other three, but a major one. Major. Why is it so major? Let's see if you can figure it out. What would you, let me see. It's one word. Checks systems. Ooh. Check systems. Check systems. All right, so someone tell me what kind of information does check systems put together? Someone tell me that, please. What kind of information does check systems put together? Give me a second, let me get some more water. 1 second. Check systems, what information does check systems use? All right, so how are we doing? Check systems. Check systems. All right, so check systems. This is the other one, another big one. Not part of the major three, not part of the other three. Check systems. Check systems, just like the word, deals with banks. Okay? Deals with the banks. So if you have issues with banking history, bounce checks, closed accounts, unpaid balances due to bank account closures, that information is going to be collected by check systems. Check systems, just like the big three, the other three, is a consumer reporting agency. It's a consumer reporting agency, okay? Just like all these other people. But they only gather information about banking history, okay? So if you apply to get a bank account and are denied, it's because of information on your checks systems. Consumer report, okay? And remember, consumer report is just another way of saying credit report, but consumer report is the legal name for it. It's called a consumer report. So look, so that's number, what, 7. All right, so these, you know, we're already down. We're reviewing 7 reports. So now we're looking at 7 different companies already. We looked at the big 3, TEE, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. We looked at the other 3, CLS, CoreLogic, LexisNexis, SageStream, and the other one. This is not a small one. It's a lot of banks out there. The other one is check systems. All right. And I want to go back for a second to LexisNexis. LexisNexis We'll also have what's called your clue report. It's your report about your driving history and things like that. So LexisNexis puts together a lot of stuff. So when you get that LexisNexis report, it's going to have a lot of your life in there. All right. But like I said, there are many CRAs, but I'm just giving you a few that are very, very important that you should definitely be looking at. I'm going to give you one more. Now, if you get my book, I go through about 47 consumer reporting agencies that may affect you, about at least 47. But I'm going to give you one more today. MIB. Does anyone know what the MIB, what does MIB stand for? Let's see, a little pop quiz. What do you think the MIB stands for? What do they collect? Yep. MIB, or number 8. Just going to raise the camera up a little bit so that you can see my face. All right, so MIB stands for Medical Information Bureau. All right, so medical, so let's do RX. That stands for Medical Information Bureau. Now, if you're gonna get life insurance, health insurance, all that, they're gonna check your MIB. And that's how they're gonna determine how much of a risk you are. So if there's any prescription drug history, it'll show up on this MIB report. So if you get denied life insurance or health insurance, it may be because of what's on your MIB. Okay? If you're thinking about getting life insurance, you might want to check your MIB before that so that you can make sure you're going to get a good rate so that they're not basing it on inaccurate information. Okay? So, let's review. Step 1, 4 steps to better credit, is to review. That's the R of keeping it real. All right? That's the R. What do we want to review? Your consumer reports. Who has your consumer reports? Consumer reporting agencies, CRAs. What CRAs do we want to look at? Well, we definitely want to look at the big 3. The big 3 being TEE, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, TEE. But that's not it. We also want to look at the other 3, CLS. CLS being CoreLogic, LexisNexis, SageStream. CoreLogic, we know, has to do with real estate, apartment history, things like that. They collect a lot of the real estate information. CLS, the L stands for LexisNexis, public records, judgments, bankruptcies, tax liens, LexisNexis, car, automobile, driving, record history, clue report, all that comes from LexisNexis. If you're an insurance agent and you have people that can't get approved for insurance, likely because of information on their clue report, as well as these other reports. Some insurers look at credit history as well to determine risk, thinking risky people may not be a good insured person. Okay. TEE, the big 3. CLS, the other 3. Check systems, the other one. And then MIB, the last one we talked about. All right, Medical Information Bureau. That's going to be if you get denied for life insurance, that MIB is likely the culprit there. You want to take a look at those. So all of this is in chapter 1 of the book. All of these you can Google and figure out how to obtain these reports. But I go through how to get these reports. And again, getting them is one thing. You want to learn how to review them because on the next step, we're going to figure out how to erase bad stuff. So chapter 1 of the book talks about how to review that. There's a link in the description that you could use to order the book on Amazon, 4 Steps to Better Credit. You definitely want to do that. The information I'm giving you, you could really take it and run with it, but I think it's important to know the details, because what I'm showing you is enough to probably make you dangerous. But in the book, I go over the details so that you're armed with enough to make you effective. So you don't want to be dangerous, you want to be effective. A lot of people make the mistake of taking a little information and running with it without getting all the information. So you want all the information. And so you don't have to buy my book, but if you do, you're going to get the complete information to sort of fill in all these pieces of the puzzle. For those that are serious about really getting this done. So that was step 1. How did we do? How you like step 1? Was step 1 informative? I see some comments saying I didn't know that, so that was step 1. All right, so look, guess what time it is? It's time for step 2. 4 steps to better credit. We use the real method. REAL. Step 1 is review. We just went through review, and we spent a good amount of time just talking about reviewing, because there's a lot to review. Step 2 is E, erase. Okay, erase. Let's actually, erase. Why do we want to erase stuff? Well, look, your credit report and your credit score is based on information that's contained in the credit report. And when I say credit report, I'm referring to consumer report. The correct name is really consumer report in the law, but we call them credit reports. And when people say, I want to improve my credit, what they're really trying to say is they want to increase their credit score. To increase your credit score, you have to have positive information on the credit report and little to no negative information. All right. And so step 2, when we talk about erasing, we're talking about erasing the negative or derogatory or adverse information. So what do we want to erase? We want to erase anything that's negative. It's 3 ways you can see it written: negative, derogatory, or adverse information. We want to get rid of all that. So anything that's negative, derogatory, or adverse. So what's negative? Some examples of negative things are late payments, okay, collections, inquiries, wrong name, multiple or old addresses. All right. Wrong job. Wrong social security number. Wrong phone number. All right. What else? 9. No balance. No high limit. All right. So look, Did y'all know all those things can be negative? Did y'all know that? It's a lot of stuff. Welcome, Brian Taylor, Jeffrey Hall. Yeah, glad you're enjoying it. So look, these all this stuff you have to erase. All right. A lot of you hear about trade lines. Trade lines are great, but you have to erase the negative things in order for credit scores or your credit report to improve. So this is a very important step. And by the way, all of these steps are necessary. This is not a process where, hey, let's just do step one or let's just do step two. You have to do all these steps, like baking a cake. You need all the ingredients for this to come out right. This is not something that you should piecemeal. So I only did 4 steps because sometimes you see things out there, 67 steps or 10 steps, 20 steps, 90, 100 steps. 4 steps you can do. So but you have to do all 4 of these steps. I could have made it 67, 69 steps, but I made it 4 steps because it's not a lot of steps. But all of these steps are super important. You can't skip one. If you skip one, it's gonna show. You're not gonna get the maximum out of your credit. You can improve. You can improve by just erasing. So you can do step 2. Your credit score will go up. But you're gonna have to put all this together. If you're not reviewing it, you're not gonna know how to look and where to find the late payments, what a collection is, what an inquiry is, what a wrong name. You're not gonna look out for that stuff when you're reviewing it. So if you don't know what to review and look out for, you're not gonna know what to erase in step 2. So yeah, so late payments. A lot of late payments have to do, with credit cards, things like that. All those things, you want to delete. Collections. Collections is a big one. Collections really hurt your credit report. What is a collection? A collection is when you have an account that goes into default. Maybe a charge-off, credit card, it may be anything. It could be anything. And then the company, your creditor, places that debt with a debt collector to collect on it. Sometimes they'll sell the account. So a lot of credit card companies may sell the debt to Midland or Portfolio Recovery Associates, for example, Midland Funding, a lot of debt buyers. So a debt collector, a collection may be on your credit report listed by a debt collector or a debt buyer or a debt collector for a debt buyer, all kind of things. And so this will be in the adverse section. And on your Equifax report, it may even say, or on Credit Karma, it may even say collections. And by the way, in step 1, I forgot to tell you, aside from the annual credit report, which will give you that one report, everyone should have free Credit Karma accounts. You can get your credit report there. Now, Credit Karma will only give you Equifax and TransUnion, okay? So keep that in mind. So therefore, you're going to also need an Experian account, which is free. Don't pay for it. Do not pay. Just go to Experian.com and click sign up, and then sign up for free. Don't ever use a credit card, okay? So they may ask you, hey, you can get all 3 reports, or for $4.99, this, that. Don't do it. So Credit Karma, Experian. You want those. You can get, that's an app. You can have that on your phone. This, I think, is online. They may have an app too. I don't know. They may have an app. I don't know. But Experian.com and Credit Karma, get your free credit monitoring. Now, you're getting that not for the score, because the score they will give you is not your FICO score. So this is just for the information. This is what you're going to use to see. Once you start erasing information, you can get your alerts and you're going to see what's coming off. But collections are very, very bad for your credit. Now, if you follow me on YouTube or if you have the book, to delete collections, you're going to use what's called a 1692 GB letter. That correlates with the FDCPA. And so that's a letter you can use to send to debt collectors to demand that they delete your collection. And a lot of these collections can be deleted without payment because a lot of them are inaccurate. They're asking for money that you don't owe. They're adding money to it, or they're collecting a debt that's not valid. So you use this letter, 1692 GB letter. It can help you deal with collections, okay? And also in this step 4, we'll talk about how you can use lawyers. Lawyers can help you demand that collections be deleted off your credit report and demand that they stop attempting to collect it, including stopping suing you on debts. Very important. Inquiries. So an inquiry is when you apply for credit. So if you apply, say if you apply for a Capital One credit card, well, Capital One will look at your credit report with Experian, for example. That will count as an inquiry, a hard inquiry to your Experian. An inquiry can be hard or soft. The hard inquiry affects your credit. That's when you apply for credit. A soft inquiry is like a review of your credit done by people that are trying to pre-qualify you or people you already do business with. That won't affect your credit. So hard, soft inquiries. But they can cost you points. So you want to try to delete those if they are unauthorized or etc. The fewer inquiries you have, the better. And if you find an inquiry on there that's a hard inquiry that shouldn't be there, it should be a soft inquiry, for example, you want to dispute that because those hard inquiries can cost you points. Wrong name. So yeah, you want to review your credit report. Look at your name. Is your name spelled wrong? They may have your name written 3 different ways. Well, that's not good. You want them to delete those other ways that are wrong, that are on your file. So you want that erased, okay? Multiple addresses. Now, this is how I learned how multiple addresses can hurt your credit report. First of all, everyone wants to know, well, why did my score go down? Why did it go up? Well, the FICO company, I think it's called, the FICO company is who gives the FICO score. And if you want to know how and why your score goes up and down, you can get an account with them. You can get the 3B account. And for $30 a month or so, they'll tell you why your score went up, why it went down. And I learned with my account, when Equifax, for example, added an additional address, like a P.O. box I had, my score went down. I think maybe, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 points. I forget exactly. But multiple addresses actually bring down your report. So you wouldn't know that if you didn't have a MyFICO account. Otherwise, if you had something else that just monitored your score, whether it's your FICO score or Vantage score, and you saw it go down, you wouldn't know why. But if you have a myfico.com account, you can see why. But anyway, multiple addresses, you don't want that because you don't want your score to go down. You also don't want it because it could open you up for identity theft. So if you have old addresses, what if you have old mail that goes there? Someone could steal your identity and apply for credit and get the credit card at another address that's on your credit report. You don't want that to happen. So you want to delete all of that. So you want to delete your inquiries, you want to delete collections, you want to delete your late payments. Now with the late payments and other things like that, you want to use a CRA dispute. You want to dispute that with the Consumer Reporting Agency. So in the book, you have a CRA dispute letter. And also in the book, you have a 1692 GB FDCPA collection dispute letter, okay? Everybody got that? Yeah. So yeah, you can buy Jeffrey's asking, yeah, you go on YouTube, type in 1692 GB letter, and then you'll see there's a video on that, and you can actually buy that letter. I'll also place that link in the description, but that letter is in the book. So, those that have the book, you have that letter. Multiple addresses, delete them. Wrong job. So if you're working for a law firm now, but used to work in Kmart, delete Kmart. You don't want that. So delete your old jobs. Just have your current job. That way everything is consistent. You want the report to accurately reflect what it should. So you may see a wrong Social Security number or a Social Security number that's transposed, or some numbers being switched. You don't want that. So if they have a wrong social security number listed for you, delete it. Wrong phone number, delete it. Again, you want everything to be completely accurate. The FCRA says your report needs to be completely accurate and complete. Completely accurate, complete and accurate. So they have to assure that. So if they're listing phone numbers for you that are not your phone number, that's inaccurate and you should delete that. You would use the CRA letter for this one. So CRA letter for this, CRA letter, CRA letter, CRA letter, CRA 1692 GB letter, CRA letter. All right. Wrong social security number, delete that. Wrong phone number, CRA letter, no balance. Now listen, your FICO score is calculated by your balance in respect to your high limit. Now, the best thing to do is to keep a zero balance on your revolving credit and credit cards, things like that. Revolving credit are credit cards. That's the same thing. That's the type of account. Revolving account is what a credit card account is. Ideally, you want to use your credit card like cash, meaning at the end of the month, you want to pay it off to zero. If you can't, you want to definitely keep it below 29% or below, so that your credit score doesn't drop too much. So no balance. But a big issue is sometimes you pay stuff off. It could be a closed account or new account, and instead of them putting a zero there, they leave it blank. Well, that's not good because the scoring system can't calculate your credit score based on no number, okay? So you're gonna need a zero there. You need zeros. And sometimes you pay off mortgages. You can pay off a $400,000 mortgage and it'll just have a dash there. Well, that score is not taken into account that big payoff. If you have a credit card and you don't have a zero balance there and just a dash, sometimes they'll just put a dash. Well, that's not going to be used to calculate your score, so it's very important. Likewise, if you have a $10,000 credit card with a zero balance and all they have is a zero but no $10,000 high credit limit, then that ratio is not going to reflect on your FICO score. So very, very important that you correct that. And so with the no balance, you don't want to erase this. You want to modify. You want to modify these. You want to modify these to show zero. If it doesn't have a high limit, you want to modify it. You want to tell them to modify it to show that, 10K limit. Okay, got that? All right, so Carrie Stringfellow, hello. Carrie asks, what if they refuse to delete the inaccurate demographic information? Well, first of all, what I recommend that you do in those disputes, always send a copy of your your driver's license that has your current address on it. I also encourage all of the CRA dispute letters to include a copy of your social security number if you have it. If you don't, that's fine. Or you could send a W-2 or a pay stub. But I would include a copy of your current driver's license and let them, and for those of you that get the book, you can actually forward me a copy of your receipt to brian@brianponder.com, and what I'll do, I will send you the letters in Microsoft Word format already, and for those of you viewing this today, I'll send you some bonus letters. But Carrie, what you want to do is send proof of your current address. You want to be very specific in your request to say that they are reporting inaccurate information about you, specifically address information, and list out the addresses. This address, the following addresses are not my addresses and should be deleted. Give them specific instructions. Tell them exactly what you want them to do. Tell them to delete the addresses listed above, and send me a copy of my of a new report showing that it's deleted. And then you will also want to say the only address you should be listing for me is the following address, and proof of that address is enclosed via a copy of my driver's license, for example. So that's an example of what you want to do. The CRA letter that you'll find in the book says, um, should you refuse or should you verify that these wrong addresses are correct? Uh, Tell me where you get this information from. But more importantly, you tell them what to do. If they don't update it, your address information after you send that letter, and they come back saying that they're not going to, then you may have a FCRA case against that consumer reporting agency, where you could get $1,000 plus attorney's fees and costs. So it's common. I just want to say this: it's common. These consumer reporting agencies, they are not in the business of making sure your report is completely accurate. They're in the business of making a profit. So many times, more times than you would want to think, they don't correct or do what they're supposed to do. And that doesn't mean you did something wrong. And so don't think you did anything wrong. If you wrote them and told them, hey, these are not my addresses, delete them, and they didn't, you may have done everything correct and they may have done something wrong. You may want to consider doing a small claims lawsuit against them to ask them for $1,000. And they may try to sell it with you, and you still want your money, but and cost to file that lawsuit, but you want them to delete that information. The courts may not make them do it because the FCRA doesn't provide for that type of equitable relief, but it doesn't mean they won't do it. So if you ever end up suing consumer reporting agencies, even though the court can't tell them what to do as far as reporting, if they don't delete it, you can just sue them again. You can keep suing them every month. So they're going to delete it. So be sure that's part of any settlement or agreement with them, that they delete that information. You don't want to ever take any money and allow them to report something that hurts you. Okay? All right. Does that make sense? All right. All right. So yeah. So that's that. So yeah. So that's a lot of information. So that's step 2. I'm telling y'all. I mean, it's 4 steps, but it's a lot of information in those 4 steps. So in step 2, we talked about erasing. Step 1 was to review, REAL. So step 1, review. Step 2 is erase. So we just went through step 2, and we want to erase negative, derogatory, or adverse information. Of course, you find out what to look for to erase in step 1 in reviewing. You have to review these reports. But in step 2, we said we need to erase negative information, derogatory information, adverse information. And we gave some examples. Now, I gave 10 examples, but it could be more. And that's the book will sort of walk you through this, but I gave you 10 quick, easy examples of stuff you want to erase. You want to erase late payments. You want to erase collections. You want to erase inquiries. You want to erase wrong names. You want to erase multiple or old addresses. You want to erase the wrong job. You want to erase the wrong social security number. You want to erase your wrong phone number. You want to erase where there's no balance. And you want to modify and update where there's no balance. So you want to erase the no balance, and you want to put a balance there. You want them to put the balance of 0. When there's no high limit and there's nothing there, you want to deal with that by having them modified to put your high limit so you get credit. Any questions about step 2, erase? Any questions about step 2? Go ahead and write your question and we can talk about it. And then we talked about, personally, a lot of people, if you're trying to repair your credit, you have to be prepared. You got to have, you should be on your purpose and getting your money right. So I think it's money well spent to have a MyFICO account to monitor as you get things erased. I think it's very important to know why your score goes up, down, and around. So you can get a myfico.com account, and you'll be alerted in real time every day of when your score goes up. So if you erase something, you'll see your score go up. You'll see what what consumer reporting agency it goes up with. So I think it's money well spent to get a MyFICO account. But yeah, it's $30. I've had people say, "Oh, that's over $300 a year." Well, yeah, it is. But if you're really serious about your credit and want to know what's going on with it, I think it's great to have. And don't let the mathematics discourage you. Yeah, it adds up to $300, over $300 a year, but it has a great purpose. You want to know. I mean, your credit is your livelihood. So I think it's very important to know what's going on with it. And if your score goes up or down, I think it's good to know why. And that's what my FICO is for. Otherwise, you're guessing, and you're going to call people like me, oh, my score went down, what's going on? Or my score went up, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. Do you have a myfico.com account? Well, that's what you need if you want to answer the answer to that question. Don't ever call anyone and ask them, hey, why did my score go up? Why did my score go down? Well, that's for the credit scoring company to tell you, not me or anyone else. Any questions about step 2? Carrie Stringfellow asks, is the book available in digital audio form? Not at this moment, but in the near future. A to the D3S. Thank you, sir. All right. So all right, look, we're about to go to step 3. We're about to wrap this thing up. We're halfway there. Let's review. For those that just joined, we're talking about my book, 4 Steps to Better Credit. This is the Penthouse Whiteboard training, my first one. So hopefully it goes well. 4 Steps to Better Credit. I wrote the book. We're talking about the real method. Those are the 4 steps, REAL. Step 1, review. We talked about reviewing your credit report. We had an acronym for the consumer reporting agencies we want to review. T for the big 3. TransUnion, Experian, Equifax, CLS, CoreLogic, LexisNexis, SageStream, the other one, Check Systems, and another one, MIB. All right. So we talked about that. That was number 1. We did that. Review. We talked about step 2. You can go back and look at it for those that are just joining. But step 2 is about erasing bad credit. So credit repair or improving your credit. Sometimes, some people don't want to call it credit repair, improving your credit, for example. Because credit repair people think is negative, but whether you're rich, poor, have great credit or not, you always should be looking to improve your credit. I had to have some people that want to be in the 800s, and some people will say, well, if you score 760, you get the same credit as 800. But if you're at 800, you have a buffer now. So if you're not able to pay your cards down to 29%, guess what? You have a buffer. So whether you have a low score or high score, it's always good to learn how to improve it. To learn how to improve it is by erasing things. We went through 10 examples on what to erase, okay? And so we want to erase negative, adverse, or derogatory information. That's the point. That will increase your score no matter where you're at right now. Step 3. We're at step 3, y'all. Add. What are we going to add? We want to add positive credit. We want to add positive credit, okay? So positive credit. So those of you that want to increase your credit score, well, first of all, you want to definitely review, right? And see what's going on with it. You definitely want to erase anything that's bad, but you want to add good credit. So positive credit is, good credit. Good credit items. That's what you want. And you want a lot of them. Ideally, you want around 20 plus positive accounts. You're not going to get there overnight, okay? But, less is okay. But the moral of the story is you want positive accounts. The more the better. It's like money in the bank. You want more. You need more. The more, the better. The stronger you are as an applicant. So you want a positive history. You need positive accounts. So let's talk about that. I'll leave that up there. So when we're talking about positive accounts, we're talking about the trade lines. Now, when we see trade lines, a lot of people see trade lines, they're thinking about the ones that you buy. Because everyone now is selling trade lines. Oh, you sell trade lines, I sell trade lines, wholesale trade lines. So, but you already have trade lines in your credit report. So trade lines are what's listed in your credit report. That's called a trade line item. And so when you hear people talking about selling you a trade line, those are temporary, okay? If someone's talking about, hey, I can sell you a trade line, that's temporary. So let's do 3 types. Temporary, authorized, and primary. So, so temporary trade lines are the ones that you buy from people. And what are they? They're just authorized user trade lines. And authorized user it just means that you're put down as an authorized user to a line of credit or credit card. So someone with good credit who has an excellent credit card with a very low balance, if they put you down on that credit card, that credit history will go on your credit report. Likewise, if a person has a credit card with a bad credit history and has you down as an authorized user, that bad credit will go to your credit report. So you have to be very careful with doing these temporary authorized user trade lines because 1, they're expensive and temporary, and 2, if you get it from the wrong person and that account goes bad, then it hurts you. So I really don't recommend that people do these authorized user temporary trade lines. Now, if you have a spouse, friend, or a family member that is going to put you down as an authorized user, I think those are great. You have a young child that's coming of age, and you want to get them set up with a positive credit history. Like I was telling you, some parents, when their kids are in high school, turn 18 or even sooner, when they're in college, they'll put them down as an authorized user to their credit card. You don't have to give the person the credit card. So if you have a teenager, you can start building their credit. So when they graduate from college, they have enough credit where they can buy a house, a car, anything they want. But you don't have to give them the credit card. I mean, you could, and you could limit their spending on it, but the purpose is to build credit. So authorized user trade lines are excellent for that. But you should be very wary about paying big bucks to get these types of trade lines, unless you're dealing with a very reputable source and you have a real specific purpose. If you're trying to get a real major credit card with a high limit and you need to get there fast, you really have to evaluate it very, very carefully before you do it. But the third type of trade lines is primary. Primary is the accounts that you have, they're permanent. And again, authorized users can be permanent too if you never change it, but it's really temporary because it's based on that other person's credit. So permanent means it goes with you. It's not going to come off. But primary trade lines is what you want because it's going to stay with you. It's going to create a seasoned credit record that's going to go with you. It's not going to come off. And that's what I recommend. And so if you have good credit, if you have credit cards now or accounts, loans, you want to keep those accounts good by paying them. When I say pay them, you want to pay at least a minimum payment on time. You never want to be over 30 days late. So if the payment's due on the 15th, if you pay on the 20th, 21st, okay, that's fine. But you want to pay them on time. You never, ever want to be over 30 days late. That's going to make it a bad account. For those of you that can't get a credit card, well, you're going to be like, well, how do I get positive credit if I can't get credit? Well, My book shows you how to do that. I give you a website with some sources. I'll tell you that, for example, easytradelines.net is a list that I put together of, guess what? Some primary trade lines. And a lot of these trade lines are with companies where you may have to order one item for $100 to get it started, okay? But it's money well spent. Some of these are secured credit cards, but some of these are not. Now, the thing with secured credit cards is that if you want a $500 secured credit card, you may have to put $500 down. So a lot of you may not be able to do that. And still, when you do that, that's not a big credit account. So on this website, I have some sources where you can get a $5,000 account, even if you have bad credit, without having to put $5,000 down. You may have to buy a $100 product, but that's way better than having to put $5,000 into an account to sit there. So very important. So that's step 3, adding positive credit. Again, some of the models that I've seen, you need over 20 good accounts to really have the most, the most robust credit history. But you don't need to start that. When I bought my house, I only had one secured credit card to get my score up 200 points after deleting the negative information to be able to qualify. So a lot of you can get, it's about 4 or 5 accounts that I recommend here where you don't have to put all that money down. You get those, let them show up. That may give you the score you need to get your home, to get your car with a good interest rate. So it doesn't take a lot, but you have to get started. But over time, as you build up those positive accounts, you'll see that score just grow and grow and grow. So you want to add positive accounts, good credit items. Those things are called trade lines. Do you want to buy them? I don't recommend it. Invest in primary trade lines that you have control over, okay? Any questions about step 3? That was step 3, add. We're almost finished. What questions do you have? Okay, affiliate lawyer in Michigan. We're almost there. We're almost there. In this next step, we're going to talk about how you can get you a lawyer. So look, y'all, I think we're doing great. Let me get a sip of water. We're about to wrap this thing up. We've been at it for a while. This is going to be, I'm going to say, oh man, this is a long video, but guess what? I've walked y'all through the 4 steps to better credit. So in step 1, we talked about reviewing. And we talked about reviewing the big 3, TEE, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. We talked about reviewing the other 3, CLS, CoreLogic, LexisNexis, SageStream. We talked about the other one, Check Systems. And we talked about the last one, MIB, the Medical Information Bureau. Want to check all those out. Let's erase this. This is like a course here. This is a long one. Y'all are getting the good stuff. We talked about step 2. We talked about erasing. What do we want to erase? You want to erase the negative, derogatory, and adverse information. You want to erase it, okay? Step 1, you want to review, you want to check everything out. Step 2, you want to erase the negative, derogatory, adverse information. Step 3, add. You want to add positive trade lines. Add good, positive trade lines. Okay, primary ones. Primary. All right. You have to do that. Now, step 4, lawyer up. Lawyer up, huh? You hear lawyer up. A lot of people think when you lawyer up, you have to be in an interrogation room for murder. That's not the case. Um, Lawyering up just doesn't have to do with criminal law. You don't have to be in trouble to lawyer up. And in fact, rich people, smart people, wealthy people, or people in the know, they get lawyers before most people think they need a lawyer. You want to get lawyered up on the front end, right? It's being proactive. So that goes for everything in life. You don't want to eat healthy and exercise after a heart attack. You want to do that before and maybe prevent a heart attack. You don't want to think about getting gas for your car after you get out of gas. You want to gas up before you get on that trip. You don't want to worry about, look. So anyway, I'm giving you some examples, but same thing with your financial history. You don't want to wait until they're about to take your house or you're about to get kicked out or until you need something fixed on your credit to lawyer up. You want to do it now. Why? Well, first of all of these steps involve a lot of laws. All of these processes, for example, involve the FCRA, the FDCPA, RESPA, which is real estate law, Fair Credit Billing Act. All these are laws. And if you Google this stuff, these are some extensive laws. So all of these steps have some legal implications. When you review your report, just to get that report, if they don't give it to you, that's a legal problem. If the CRAs don't erase something off your report they're supposed to, that's a legal problem. If trade lines are not reported correctly and things like that, that's a legal problem. So the purpose of lawyering up is don't wait until you have the problem to lawyer up. You want to lawyer up as soon as possible. Now, personally, the most effective way to erase negative credit is to get a lawyer involved in dealing with these debt collectors. Debt collectors are under strict liability to get what they do right. Their only defense is a bona fide error. But if you get a lawyer to review and to send demands on your behalf to delete these collections, and they don't do it, they can't claim error when they've been instructed specifically on what to do and what's wrong. And so I think for people that are dealing with collections, it's very important to have a lawyer on standby to help you with that. Also, a lot of the major debt buyers now have lawyers on retainer, Portfolio Recovery Associates in Virginia, Midland Funding out in California. They sue. They buy debt. They'll buy debt. They'll buy $1 million worth of debt for a few $1,000s. And they will send you letters to collect, hoping you'll pay. They'll put it in your credit report. And if you don't, they'll sue you. Now, if you try to send them a 1692 GB letter saying, hey, that's delete that debt, a lot of times they may not even know where you're located. Now, you sent them that letter without a lawyer, and now they know where you're located. Now they know where to serve and sue you because you've moved. A lot of these credit cards are old. You've had them years ago. They purchased this debt, and the only reason they haven't sued you yet is because they don't know where to find you. So it's very important to lawyer up because, in a lot of these situations, you may find yourself on the defense. Delta, that's for defendant. In law, that's pi for plaintiff. But a lot of times, you may find yourself as a defendant in a case. You may dispute something, or even try to do some credit reporting fixing. And fixing your credit with the CRA letters, your update of your address. may tell these debt collectors where you are now. Now they know where to sue you. So it's amazing. They will sue you over a few $100. So it's important to lawyer up, because with dealing with some of these debt collectors, you really don't want to go after them by yourself. And they know you're getting these letters from books online. So it's very important to have a lawyer on standby, and preferably a lawyer to help you send these disputes to the debt collectors. Now, the letters to the consumer reporting agencies, you can do without a lawyer, because the consumer reporting agency is not going to sue you. Now, you may have to sue them, because like Kenny was saying, they may not correct your information, and they're supposed to, and they're going to owe you money for doing that. And so you want to lawyer up early. Now, all of these steps you want to do at one time. You don't want to do this like 1 month, do this, 1 month. All of this stuff you want to do, just like today we went over all these steps you want to do simultaneously, so that you can, really get it done. You don't want to wait. You don't want to do all this, then lawyer up. You want to lawyer up right away. And as far as affiliate attorneys, what I recommend is you get a legal plan. And a legal plan will allow you to get a lawyer no matter what state you're in. The legal plan is like a health insurance plan. It will, for a small fee, under $50 a month, you will be able to get assigned to a law firm in your state that's experienced, that's a big experienced firm that will help you in your legal issues. I have a link for where you can get those plans, and to get a legal plan, go to brianponder.net. That's for the legal plan. And as far as the legal plan is concerned, there are 3 levels of plans you can get. You can get a personal plan. The personal plan, let's see, let's draw a phone. It includes a lawyer making phone calls and writing letters on your behalf. 1 second, this won't work. So if you're in Michigan, like someone just asked, you go to brianponder.net, go ahead and get yourself a little legal plan. You're going to get connected, you're going to get affiliated with a law firm in Michigan that you can talk to anytime, unlimited. And they'll make a call, write letters to help you deal with some of those debt collectors. That only may cost you about $25 a month. Can't beat that. So you definitely want a personal legal plan. I recommend you also add what's called a trial defense supplement. That's like $10 more a month. Reason is because if you have a collection on your credit report, or if you have a default, if you really have a default of any type on your credit report, you're at risk for getting sued at some point. So whether that collection has made it to collection yet, you're at risk for getting sued. The personal legal plan has a very, very small amount of trial defense coverage in it. The trial defense supplement adds additional trial defense coverage that I think you as a consumer really need. And so that's for an extra $10 a month. You can get that with these legal plans. And also you can get what's called an ID plan. And so I think you need all three if you want to be fully covered, because the personal plan helps you deal with those personal legal issues. The trial defense supplement, if you are sued, will cover you. A lot of times you get sued, you can end up spending more money to defend yourself than the debt is worth. So same thing with healthcare. I mean, healthcare is very expensive. Legal services are very, very expensive. So for those of you who go, can I call you? Can I use you, Brian? It's very expensive, very expensive. I mean, we're talking about almost $400 an hour, for many consumer lawyers, to help you one-on-one. With the legal plan, you don't have to pay that hourly rate to get these basic services, demands, and things like that done. So you need that. The ID plan is a legal component that contractually protects you in the event of identity theft. Now, as you know, Equifax had a major security breach, but let me tell you something. That's just like the news. On the news every day, you see something about someone getting shot or police beating up someone. Do you think that's all that's happening? Do you think that one beating by a police officer is the only beating that happened that day? What about someone getting shot? They'll show you what's going on in Chicago. Well, do you think that's the only shooting that happened that day? It's not. Same thing with these security breaches. Your information is compromised every day. Every day. And if you have not been a victim of identity theft yet, the key word is not yet. So the issue is, when you are affected by it, what are you going to do? Again, you don't want to wait until you're affected by something to deal with it, because it can be a lot cheaper to protect yourself sooner. So the ID component to these legal plans protects you in the sense that if there's an issue that causes you damage, the company will do whatever it takes, investigate as long as it takes to get you back correct. And there's also insurance that's within the ID part of the plan that will protect and cover you for all the expenses that it takes to get your credit back to where it was. So very, very important. This is probably, I'm biased as a lawyer, but this is probably one of the most important important thing that people can do for themselves is to lawyer up, and just to have that access to that lawyer to tackle these things. Because tackling them alone, it really exposes you. Because now, if you dispute by yourself with these debt collectors, now they have your address. They know where to find you. Now they can send that to their lawyers to sue you. You don't want to be in that position. So I encourage you to lawyer up. And again, if you're serious about your credit, you follow all four of these steps. Don't do one step. Don't call and say, hey, this happened. Well, my first question is, did you see my video? Because a lot of people, you're seeing my video and wondering what to do. This is what you do. These are the four steps. So the easiest way to sabotage this whole process is to not do one step. Okay, so I'm not going to review all the reports like Brian said. I'm just going to fix my Equifax. I live in Atlanta, so I heard they only use Equifax. I'm not going to look at CoreLogic or anything like that. Mistake. Or, my mortgage officer said as long as I had a 685, I'm okay, so I'm not going to worry about trying to erase that collection on my credit report. I'm not going to worry about that. Get to closing, and the underwriters say, you need to pay this. Now your closing is delayed. You're in a hotel for a month. So don't do that. I already have one credit card. I don't need to add any more credit cards. So I'm not going to worry about that step Brian was talking about. I'm not going to add additional credit. Now when you try to apply for or need a big credit card, you're not going to get it because that little credit card you have is not good enough to show that lender you can effectively have an American Express card. So that's what happens, which is Okay, you know, I don't need a lawyer. Those letters are good. People say that they had success with just the letters on their own, so I don't need a lawyer. I'm not gonna need a lawyer. You send that letter, and guess what? You get a verification back, or you get a lawsuit back. You get served a lawsuit. So, moral of the story is, uh, you cannot skip these steps. It's just, you know, you don't. It's 4 steps. So, um, you know, like I said, you skip something, then you've done enough to hurt yourself. You do it all, you've done enough to help yourself. So, any questions? Look, we went through everything. We talked about lawyering up. Get a lawyer, get a legal plan. So to lawyer up, you get a legal plan, get covered, add credit, erase, review, keep it real. REAL. Those are the 4 steps. Any questions? Jeffrey Hall, what trade lines I recommend? Well, to add credit, we said we're going to go to, and this is all in my book, easytradelines.net. Those are the ones I put together. There's a list. I will update it. It's a real simple site. I put it together. It's real simple, straight to the point. I give you the links to the ones I recommend. That's it. So look, go to get my book. Well, my website is brianponder.com. Go there, subscribe to my email list, and you'll see my book. You can click a link. It'll take you to Amazon to find a book on Amazon. Any other questions before we wrap up? None? All right. So look. And look, I mean, you all got a whole 4 steps to better credit course in this video. So those of you that took all the time to listen all the way through, you got a real treat. So good luck to everyone. Get a copy of your book. And again, what you want to do is after you get the book, those of you that are listening, email me your receipt. .com. So Brian at brianponder.com. Forward me a copy of your receipt, okay? So that's the easiest way. Just forward it. Or if you want to screenshot it and email it to me, that's fine. Brian at brianponder.com. What I will do for a limited time is I'll email you a copy of the Word files of the letters in my book, and I will email you some letters that are bonus letters. Right now, there's some student loan deletion, credit card deletion, and repo deletion letters, and inquiry deletion letters, and some other bonuses that you'll see once you get it. So, so go ahead and order that book today. Follow all 4 steps. Go on social media and tell us about your success. Use 4 steps credit as the hashtag. And write a review on Amazon, okay? Thank you all very much and have a great day.